Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to Disarranged Talk Show. Joining you live from Be More on the D, your hosts, Andrew and Matt. Please like, subscribe, and comment.
Looking sharp there, pal.
Hey, bud. How are you, man?
I recognize that logo.
Oh, wait. What?
Wait a minute.
Oh, the swag you're talking.
The hat hoodie combo I see you got on there, bud.
It is the hat hoodie combo, the infamous hat hoodie combo.
Oh man, look at that sharp gear.
Hold on, let me get the back shot.
Yeah, show the back too. Woo! Those are hot off the press there.
They are hot off the press. We are sold out of hats. We've only got a handful of hoodies left over, maybe one or two of each size, and that's about it. But we're getting geared up for the Marine Corps birthday.
Yes, sir.
Next month, buddy. It's going to be great. It's going to be a good time. So with that being said, next week, everybody, we will be taking a break, but stay tuned for the next week where we'll have a dual episode. We'll be doing our first live event as Disarranged Talk Show live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on 10th and Oregon down at Tanky's Tavern. Excuse me. If you're in the area, you're a veteran, a Marine Corps veteran, a supporter, come on by, stop in, come by to the tent. We'll have a 10 by 20 tent with a live studio and giveaways, games. It's going to be one for the Bucks. It's going to be our first one, bud.
It is going to be our first one, and I'm guessing not our last. Hopefully it's the first of many that we do live. I'm excited, a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, just wanting to get out there, and I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, and I think it's going to be fun. So
yeah, and then the next day, Veterans Day, November 11th, we'll be going to McGillen's Pub. It is, I believe, I keep saying it's either the oldest pub on the East Coast or it's definitely oldest pub in Philly.
I think it's the oldest pub in Philly.
Oldest pub in Philly.
Maybe on the East Coast. I don't know.
I think it's on the East Coast. But anyways, regardless, we will be at McGillen's Pub for Veterans Day doing another live exclusive show. We're going to be sharing some drinks, some food, and some veteran stories with some great heroes. So stay tuned for that. Again, next week, November 4th, we will be taking a break. So you guys get off the hook for all our friends that we force you to watch our episodes. Enjoy next week, because next week we'll be expecting double your entertainment and viewership, if you will.
Viewership, all support, love, everything.
All right, buddy. Well, I think it's probably the best time for you opening up.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's our time of the week for week 8 picks. I'm excited about this. Actually, last week was the first week since the NFL season that I wasn't fully engaged in all the games. I can't remember what I had going on, but I was fully engaged. The games were terrible last week. I remember that. I don't think there was one good game on, but we, as always, the first game of the week has already been played, and that was by your Be More Ravens playing against terrific Tom's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And
right.
I'm happy to report that Baltimore beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And also, it is reported today that Tom Brady, unfortunately, is filing for divorce. So he's got a lot of bad stuff going on in his life right now, bud. So don't pile on with your I hate Tom Brady stories, all right?
All right, well,
all right. Yeah, I know. Our first game on Sundays is going to be at 9:30 in the morning. It's coming from London. They're playing in London. The NFL plays, I don't know, I think like 5 games a year in London. Yep.
That's cool.
So the Broncos are playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. My friend, who do you have?
Broncos.
I am going to go with Jacksonville. I can't stand Denver and Russell Wilson. So next game on the docket is the Arizona Cardinals. They're struggling. They're 3-4. They're going to Minnesota, who is hot at 5-1. Who do you have?
I'm going Minnesota.
Minnesota also all the way on Minnesota. You got the Miami Dolphins at 4-3 playing the disaster, what is known as the Detroit disaster year after year. It's the same dumpster fire every year. They could bring in all new coaches, all new GMs, everything, and they do the same shit all the time. They absolutely walk out into the middle of the field and take a massive dump right on their logo every year. So I'm gonna pick against the Lions this week and take the Dolphins because I'm so ticked off at the situation.
I'm gonna go Lions on this one.
Okay. All right. Next game up is the Chicago Bears traveling to Dallas to play the Cowboys, who just beat my Lions last week. Cowboys are sitting at 5-2. They have lost to the Eagles in their division, so they're behind the Eagles. Who do you have?
Dallas.
I'm going to take Dallas too. Chicago's just about as bad as Detroit. So next up, we got the Raiders going to the New Orleans Saints, who are struggling really bad at 2-5. Who do you have, sir?
Raiders.
I'm going to go Raiders too. I still think they have more talent than New Orleans, plain simple. We got the Carolina Panthers, who have fired their head coach and traded away their star running back, going to Atlanta. Who do you have?
I'm going to go with Atlanta.
I'm going to go with Atlanta too. More talent on the field. I'll take that every time. The New England Patriots are going to the red hot New York Jets. I mean, that's the red hot Jets. That's something else.
Red hot in the same sentence as the Jets.
Right.
A little scary. A little scary. Shit, I'll go with the Jets.
I'm going JETS, Jets, all the way in this game.
Okay.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, coming off a win against Tampa Bay, are going to play the best team in the league, the Philadelphia Eagles. Hands down, the best team in the league.
I've got to stick with the Philly crew for next month. I'm going Eagles.
No doubt, Philly is going to
another one.
Tennessee is going to the Houston Texans. Who do you have, sir?
Who is Tennessee?
Titans.
Oh, yeah, all right. So I'm going Titans because I always like to go against my buddy Nabil that's probably never watched one of our episodes.
Well, then we're definitely going to pick against them.
That's right. So.
Yeah. Well, the Texans suck, so I'm going to take the Titans. Next up, we have, again, the red-hot New York team, Giants this time, going to the Seattle Seahawks, who are also playing some frigging awesome football right now, sitting at 4-3. Who do you have?
I'm going Giants.
I'm going Giants, too.
All
the
day,
way.
baby.
San Francisco 49ers, who just got Christian McCaffrey from the Carolina Panthers, are playing against the Los Angeles Rams, who have been struggling all year. They're sitting 500. Who do you have?
You know what? I'm really feeling the Rams this week. I'm going Rams.
I'm going 49ers all the way. 49ers. Then we have the Washington Commanders sitting at 3-4, going to the very bad Indianapolis Colts, who just benched their starting quarterback, Matt Ryan. He's probably done starting for a team in his career. Who do you have?
I am going against the Commanders because I hate the name.
I'll go Colts. I mean, who knows? Sometimes a new influx of talent.
That's right.
Spruces guys up. So I'll go Colts.
Well, Colts it is, my bud.
What's that?
So Colts it is.
Colts it is. Last game for Week 8 on Monday night. It's the Green Bay Packers traveling to the Buffalo Bills, which it should be a good game. Probably one of the better games of the week. Who do you have?
Green Bay Packers and who? Sorry.
The Buffalo Bills sitting at 5-1.
Buffalo Bills. Let's go. Come on now.
I'm always picking against Packers. Definitely picking the Bills. They are definitely. Oh, we got one more game. I'm sorry. They got 2 games on Monday night. The NFL likes doing this sometimes. The Cincinnati Bengals travel to the Cleveland Browns, which I'd probably rather watch paint dry than watch those 2 teams play at. What do you have?
I'm going to go with the Browns.
I'm going to go with the Bengals because they just have more talent on their team. So, and that's it, folks. That wraps up our week 8 picks. If you picked with us, good luck to you. I'm going to move on to my one and only.
And now, your news and current events with Matt G.
I just got one tonight, and I will start this by saying I've been captivated and totally caught up in this the past 5 days watching Mr. Daryl Brooks, or AKA Oxygen Thief, as I like to call him. If you know anything about this gentleman, Daryl Brooks is the man who, in his SUV, drove 3/4 of a mile down a parade route in Waukesha, Wisconsin during a Christmas parade and hit or ran over probably over 100 people. He killed 6. And he critically injured over 68 people. All in all, he was charged with 76 counts. And what's amazing about this, the last count he was charged with was battery, because right before Daryl decided to murder people with this car, he beat the tar out of his girlfriend. So this guy is he's just class A garbage. What caught me up so much in this story is this moron decided to go against having legal counsel, and he wanted to represent himself in court. So, I mean, I'm sure you can all picture how that worked out for him. If you have not seen these court episodes, it's just absolutely amazing. This guy spends 90% of the day arguing with the judge, telling her that she doesn't know the law. Just outrageous stuff. And mind you, this is all while the families are sitting in the courtroom.
I hate the fact that this guy got his 15 minutes and was able to represent himself. I understand our justice system and the right to a fair trial, and right a jury of your peers, the whole nine. I get all that.
Yes.
But you can tell this was just his mark. This was his statement. This was his 15 minutes, and he got it, and everyone's giving it to him. I was talking about this the other day with my cousin, and we're talking, and this also feeds into other things in, say, pulp culture or pulp culture and
pop culture.
Right. How things today are kind of like shaping up, and everybody cares about everything so much. But when you do that, you don't really allow the time to care for anything. So if
right.
And my cousin said that, and I meant to look it up before and see if he got it from somewhere, if that's what he said. But, it started thinking about it, like things like this, like I understand you and like my mom and other people are like super invested in this, and like they like it, and you watched it, right?
Right.
Man, it's almost like giving it the attention giving it the attention, you're also almost feeding into exactly what he wants,
Well, I mean, I'll say this. I number one want to point out what a fantastic job the judge. I'm not sure her first name, but her name is Judge Duro. She spent countless hours conversating with this jackass.
Unreal.
And on top of that, making sure that everything legally was done correctly, because there's no doubt in anyone's mind that this idiot's going to appeal and try to find a way to slither through the system to overturn this conviction. She was absolutely amazing. The prosecutors, the judge, they did everything by the book. They had to listen to this idiot. He stood up there in his closing statement, with the families watching and victims in the courtroom, people that he actually hit with his freaking car, and said that he was glad he was able to say that he had a clear conscience. So, needless to say, Mr. Brooks was found guilty on all 76 counts. Thank God. He now faces 6 consecutive life sentences, plus an additional, I think it's like 800 and some years. Mom Turner, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And then he also got charged with bail jumping and, of course, the battery of his girlfriend, which he did call to the stand and try to tarnish her name by making her look like a bad mom. So this guy is just class A garbage, and I am pissed off that our taxpayer money is going to be feeding him and allowing him to work out and read books. This is somebody that doesn't need to be around. But yeah, so it's been an interesting 5 days. If you're into court stuff, you're into the legal stuff and watching stuff like that. I'm not usually into it, but it's a spectacle. And it's definitely something to behold.
For sure. And the thing is, last thing I'm going to say about it is the news stations and the amount of money that was made on advertisements via internet, streaming, all that because of this jackass just being able to run his mouth. If that's not freedom, I don't know what is. If that's not the right to be able to have a fair trial and represent yourself in a court of law, I don't know really what is. But thank you very much, Matt. And if you could, everybody that's in Baltimore, we're going to give a shout out and thank you very much to our sponsors this evening, Neptune's Plumbing and Heating. Please give Dan Gedicke a call, 410-776-5864. And please, here is a message from them. Thank you again to Neptune's Plumbing and Heating of Baltimore. That's 410-776-5864. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very special guest with us coming on this evening. His name is Dexter Pitts. He is an Army veteran, Purple Heart recipient, and also author of iAmPitts, Memoirs of an American Patriot. We were introduced to Mr. Pitts through Tina, which we had a few episodes ago, and we were really, really excited to have him on. So if we could get a warm welcome, a disarranged welcome to our man, Mr. Dexter Pitts.
Tonight's guest.
What up?
What's going on, Mr. Pitts?
Not much. My name is Dexter Pitts, and I am a cisgender male presenting as a black man. My pronouns are he and they on the weekends.
Thank you for clarifying that. I think not only Andrew, but most of our audience wants to know what you identify as.
That's how we do it in America now, right?
That's right, baby. Well, hell of an entrance, my friend. First off, before we get into everything, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. It's been fun getting to get to know you through this process, through emails and the rescheduling and the understanding coming from both sides. So we really appreciate you being here, man.
Oh, of course, man. It's my pleasure to be on here, man. And thank y'all for having me. I'm sure you have plenty of other guests, and anytime anybody wants to give me some of their time to let me come on board and just chat and chop it up, man, I'm always down. I'm always down for a good conversation.
Absolutely.
Dude, that's awesome. So first off, man, if you could give us a little bit of background, who, what, why, or why, when, where you come from, how you grew up, and what ultimately led you to join the Army.
So, man, I'm actually an Army brat. I was born in Fort Knox, Kentucky. My dad was a tank mechanic for over 20 years. So my family's originally from Mississippi in the Delta, Bolivar County, Shelby, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. And so thank God my dad joined the military and my mom married him, because if not, that would have been my existence. Like, literally, I tell people I'm from a family of cotton picking Negroes, and that is no lie. Legit, my family, literally, my grandfather worked in the cotton fields for over 60 years, man. Wow. I went to the Mississippi for the first time a couple weeks ago in like 15 years, and I'm just looking at it. There's nothing but cotton fields and poverty. And I'm like, man, bro, I'm so glad my parents made a different choice in life and chose a different profession, brother, because that's some hard work down there, man. So yeah. So I grew up. Like I said, I spent time over in Germany in '89. We were in Germany when the wall came down. I was only like 4 or 5 years old. Yep. We went to California, Fort Irwin, and then we moved back. And my dad retired in '97 in Radcliffe, Kentucky. And I spent most of my teenage years in Radcliffe. And just like everybody else, from the 9/11 generation, I was in high school when the towers fell. And the funny thing is, man, I told myself, I was like, yo, I'm never joining the military. That's never going to happen, because I just saw, I would make friends and then have to move. And so I kind of resented the military a little bit. And I was like, I'm never going to join the military. So when I took the ASVAB, I did the abacadabra method, A, B, B, C, A. I didn't care about my scores. I was like, I'm never doing it. And then the towers fell. And then I watched Black Hawk Down right after. And I was like, man, I'm going to become an Army Ranger, man. I'm going to go in the Army and I'm going to go fight for my country. Too bad I went in there with those low GT scores. And they were like, you ain't fighting nothing with these scores, brother.
Go fight a book.
Yeah, exactly. And fight this retest, but that's what I tell everybody. Like, man, if you want to get into the military, just wait till we're at war and they'll grant you whatever you wish, man. It was like, hey, don't worry about that score, bro. We got a couple extra points for you. Just sign right here. What you want, infantry? Oh, come on in. Sign up. No, there's no bonuses. You can't go to Ranger school. You'll go later. I was like, okay, that works. So,
yep, it is. Gotcha. So you end up in Fort Drum, New York. Am I right?
Correct. 10th Mountain Division.
That's 10th Mountain Division. I'm actually from the Adirondacks.
That's right.
In upstate New York. So when I read that about you and then we spoke, I was like, I meant to bring it up the other night when we touched base. I have to ask. Well, for one, I had a buddy that served in the 10th Mountain. I forgot the date, so we'll have to wrap on that after. But I have to know. Give me one good thing that you loved about Fort Drum and one terrible thing that you hated about Fort Drum.
Oh, brother, there was nothing I loved about Fort Drum. Besides, I say some great people I served with.
Cool.
But other than that, man, the weather was horrible. And I've been around cold weather, but that whole negative 20-degree thing going to the field, man. First time I was like, oh, this is insane. And the only reason I went there because, when I was in the recruiter's office, they were like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to fight. Who's going to be first to fight? Oh, you want to go to Fort Drum. That's the most deployed unit in the military. I was like, sign me up. He was like, oh, yeah, man, it's cool. It's like real close to the city. You'll be down there in the city on the weekends part. And I was like, oh, I'm all in. And ladies and gentlemen, this was before Google was big,
Yes, you couldn't find out.
Yeah. Yeah, this is back when we still had dial-up internet. So I didn't get all the research I needed to get in. But yeah, I was sold on it, But I mean, man, honestly, the training was great. Right. I mean, them boys, man, I mean, they were the front and center since the start of the War on Terror. And there's just so many guys with so much combat experience. And then we also had the Black Hawk Down incident. So I was a part of Alpha Company 214. Okay. That was the unit that went in to get the Rangers out during the Black Hawk Down incident in Somalia. So there were guys in my company that were privates when that happened. And they were now like squad leaders and platoon sergeants. So it was pretty cool to be with those guys, serving with the guys I kind of idolized when I was younger.
Man, that's some salty training dogs right there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You had some good training, good leadership to look up to. That's awesome.
I did, man. I did. But the one, like I said, that cold, man, for some reason, man, I am not a runner. I've never been able to run. Brother, I struggled with my running in boot camp, and it was even worse when I got to Fort Drum, sucking in that cold air. Brother,
it's hard to run, man.
Yeah,
burn your nose and your lungs, hurt your chest.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden you find yourself you find yourself deployed. Can you share the location and kind of what your mission was?
Yeah, so I was infantry machine gunner. So when I went to Iraq, I was kind of mad I missed the initial invasion because I graduated that same year and had buddies that were there. So in my mind, I'm thinking I'm gonna miss the entire freaking war. Well, 20 years later, guess what? I didn't miss the entire war.
Right.
Now I tell people what years I served, like 2004 to 2005. They're like, well, bro, you're old, man. And I'm like, yeah, I am, man. Yeah, but we were just infantry, and Iraq was different because this is one of the first insurgents we fought in a long time.
Right.
Insurgencies, and man, what I was expecting was this brutal day in, day out gunfight thing. And we were stationed at Camp Victory right in the middle of Baghdad and Bayab. So I remember my first time going outside the wire and just being in the machine gun turret. and I'm like locked and loaded. I'm like ready to rock and roll. And I'm just thinking as soon as we go outside the wire, it's on, and yeah, that wasn't it. We were just rode around in the countryside in our initial AO. We were like, I think we were like southwest or southeast Baghdad, in the country, there's nothing going on. And I'm sitting here itching for combat, itching to, get a chance to be baptized by fire. And there's a sergeant I served with, Sergeant Pedro. He was with the 101st in Operation Anaconda. And, I'm sitting there all day just whining and complaining like, man, I want to shoot somebody in the face. He was like, do you know what it's like to see your friends get killed?
Right.
Like, no. He was like, do you know what it's like to get shot at? I was like, no. He's like, I'm perfectly fine sitting here doing nothing.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that until we actually had our first contact. So we were initially where we were at, nothing was going on, but I think it was like a couple months into the deployment, we got moved to Abu Ghraib. I'm sure you all know familiar with Abu Ghraib. And if those that are listening or not, that's the prison scandal we had where we had American soldiers that were disrespecting and abusing Iraqi prisoners. So needless to say, when Alpha Company 214 rode into Abu Ghraib, them cats wasn't having none of that, man. And that was the first time we got contact with an ID. And it just kind of hit me like, yo, these fools really want to kill us.
Yeah.
So it's different when you're shooting on the range and know your bullets are shooting back.
Yeah.
And then when the your target actually has a weapon and can think,
sure,
it's a different game.
Yeah.
100%. Was that what was your feeling when you first got into country, other than like the gun ho-ness? Do you remember kind of like doing any self-reflecting and being like, this is a different level?
Man, so the first thing I remember thinking before we even left, it was when I got on the plane and I sat down, man. I flew over on Omni Air, and I was sitting next to my buddy, and I was sweating. I was so nervous. The only thing I kept thinking was like, man, I hope I don't fuck up. Like, that's all I kept thinking, But it was just like, it was surreal for me being like 20 years old, and I'm seeing this war unfold on the ground, and I'm watching it on TV, and I'm just like, man. And then I actually get there, and then it's like you get the heat, but then you start seeing the casualties list and stuff of people getting hurt and getting killed. But what really solidified it for me was we got to Camp Victory, I think around July. And I remember me and my buddy were like, hey man, we're going to go grab something at the chow hall real quick. And we're walking outside, and I see this large cloud of black smoke off in the city. Like, yo, what the heck happened over there? And then, man, we're like, it's war. We keep walking. So we walked into the chow hall, and they got those old school big screen TVs we had back then, and they were up in the chow hall, and the CNN was playing. And that was we were looking at that same cloud of black smoke on CNN.
It's crazy.
They were talking about a car bomb that had went off at a church in Baghdad, and it just kind of all came to me like, yo, I'm really here. Like,
you're here. Yeah.
I'm a part of this, man. And it was like real surreal, man.
Yeah, so Dexter, we did mention in your introduction that you're obviously a Purple Heart recipient. Would you mind taking us through that day, the events leading up to it, and just kind of what you were feeling in that experience? Things slowed down for you, or what happened mentally?
Yeah, so we were in Abu Ghraib, and man, we had been out in the sector for a while. So we would go on these rotations for 12 on, 12 off, but we were on where we were out for a whole week straight without going back in the base to refit. Man, I remember I woke up that morning and something was weird. Like, I could feel something in the air, something was different about this day. And it was January 1st of 2005. It was New Year's Day, and I don't know what it was, but it was like when I rode out of the base that day, it was like I could feel something heavy around me, and like somebody was watching me the entire day. And what made it worse was, so we were, did either of y'all serve in Iraq?
No, we were Afghanistan.
Okay, y'all was in the other horrible place.
Equally horrible.
Yeah, probably worse, bro, on the mountains. Brother, I'm carrying no machine gun up no mountains, man. But but we were out in sector, and I just kept having this bad feeling like, man, we shouldn't be here. And we went to the same spot 3 days in a row, and we were off of Route Huskies in Abu Ghraib, man. So it was like a 2-lane highway going east and west. We parked on, I believe, the north side of the highway. And I remember looking over at this kind of ghetto that was across the street from us, man. It was this big suburban area. And man, behind us was like this house with this Iraqi family in it. And I remember like the first day we were there, the Iraqi guy comes out and brings us some tea. Like, hello, Mr. How you doing? Just talking to us. Kids are playing. And he's trying to give us his tea. I'm like, I ain't drinking that damn thing you trying to give me. You ain't going to poison me and kill me, bro.
Exactly.
I ain't trust nobody in that country. And man, he's just, being super nice. And Same thing the second day. Then the third day, we roll back. It's nighttime. And so we're rolling up, and I just got this bad feeling. And before we park, our guys get out, they dismount, and they go sweep the area to make sure nobody planted anything. But even though doing this, I'm just sitting here like, man, I got a bad feeling, dude.
Yeah.
And it was just like, we're sitting there, and I tell my lieutenant, like, hey, LT, we shouldn't be here, man. He's the man in charge, and he's just doing, he's doing his job to the best of his ability. He's like, man, we're fine. If they try to roll up on us, we're going to be able to see him before we come. You need to relax. And I had been in a gun turret all day, and he's like, man, won't you come down in the driver's seat, take a load off? So I jumped down from the from the hatch, from the machine gunner's hatch, and walk over to a row of bushes, and I started to take a leak. And as I was taking a leak, man, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I'm like, yo, somebody's watching me right now. And like, man, I took my my rifle was under my right arm, and I took the switch and switched the selector switch to from safe to full auto. And I'm like, I'm waiting for an attack. So I finish up and run back, and I'm like, guys, I got a bad feeling, man. I was like, and also, did y'all notice that family that was here? They ain't here no more. Right. They're gone. Like, they just up and bounce, yo. And I'm like, man, something ain't right. So I tell my lieutenant again, I'm like, hey, man, LT, I know I already said something, but I got a real bad feeling about being here. He's like, and he was getting frustrated, like, Pitts, we're fine. Leave it alone. Take a nap. And so I took off my helmet. I'm sitting in the driver's seat, and I lay my head back. And it's weird because I kind of remember it in two parts because I was knocked unconscious. But what I first remember is waking up on the ground, looking up at the sky, and it's dark, it's cold, and I'm just looking at the stars. I'm trying to figure out why I'm in all this pain. And then I kind of start realizing, oh my God, I'm hurt. I'm dying right now. And I'm just like in extreme pain, But the second part I remember is actually like a couple of days later from, I guess the concussion was starting to kind of withdraw a little bit. But man, I remember waking up in the Humvee, and it was like an outer body experience I had. It was super weird. Like I was like blown out of my body. And I remember I was like floating above my body inside the Humvee, and I was looking at myself in the driver's seat, like not being able to move. And I started screaming to myself like, Dex, get up, man, move. You're going to die. You got to move, man. And then it was like, snap. And I was like sucked back into my body. And it's literally just like in the movies, when there's a big explosion, everything's moving in slow motion. You got the ringing and buzzing in your ears, and there's dust, and I hear just Pitts. And I'm just like, the hell is going on? And I just feel all this pain. And I just look to my right, and I see my lieutenant's face, and he's like, I'm gonna get you out of here, man. And he grabs me by my Kevlar, my vest, the shoulders, and he just rips me from across the center console out his door, because my whole driver's side, my side of the vehicle is destroyed. So we literally parked on top of 2 155 artillery shells, bro. And let me tell you, man, we swept that area. They knew we were coming back, man. They did such a good job of burying that thing and hiding it. We didn't even suspect it, man. And so, man, my left arm was shattered. I mean, I had my molars blown out. My back and hips were blown out of alignment. I took a hit to the head. And man, I was seriously hurt, and I was the only one. Everybody was hurt, but I was the one like most critical, right? So on my mind, I'm thinking, man, this is it. I'm freaking 19 years old or 20 years old, and I'm taking my last breaths, and I'm about to die in this crappy country, man. Yeah. And I was thinking of all the stuff I wasn't going to be able to do. I just got married. I had a new wife back home, and I was thinking about my mom, and I'm like, man, like not like this guy, not like this. And I remember I started saying the Lord's Prayer, because I was like, man, I got a lot of hate in my heart. I'm a religious man. I believe, I'm a Christian. And I knew if I died in that moment that I wasn't going to be going to the pearly gates, man. Right. I was not going to make it. No, I was so angry and bitter and hateful towards the people of Iraq at that time. Yeah. It's because I was young and immature. That's what they teach you in boot camp, Yeah. 100%. So, man, they get me, they splint up my arm, and they drive me to BIOP. And man, dude, let me tell you something. That first hit of morphine. Oh,
it was everything Lord, was all right,
man.
Everything was all
right.
Like,
why am I floating? Like, am I going to heaven?
Am I out of body again?
Right. So obviously you were brought back to the rear, right? What was recovery like from that point on? Where did your path go from there?
So from there, they flew me to so I went to BIOP, and then when I was at BIOP, they got me stabilized. They flew me to, I think it was LSA Anaconda, and then from there they flew me to Launchstool, where I had my first surgery. Then they flew me to Walter Reed. Man, let me tell you, that's the longest plane trip in my life, being on that medevac flight back to the U.S., man, bro. Let me tell you something. Being around people dying that literally were just in the same war, same fight you were, that are clinging to life, and you can hear all the beeping and like the air being blown in the soldiers' lungs, yo, it like mentally messed me up, yo, like but it also made me thankful, but it also made me kind of feel guilty, like, man, how is it that, you know, these guys are hurt worse than me? Like, what makes me so special to where I'm still alert and conscious, you know, and I'm broken, but I'm still whole. Like, I wasn't missing any limbs, but I was messed up pretty good, you know. And man, I had what was it? Jesus, I think I had an additional 11 surgeries at Walter Reed to repair my left arm. And I had caught a real bad staph infection. And that was almost what killed me, because I was about to go home on leave. Man, my arm had like swollen up to like 2-3 times its size. And I had this horrible temperature. And they're like, bro, you get on that plane, you're gonna die. Like, the infection was starting to get to my bloodstream and go to my heart. So man, I did 2-3 month stints in Walter Reed. Had to learn how to walk again. I mean, and therapy for my left arm. And my left arm is still messed up. I don't have full use of it. So it's pretty much cocked at a 90-degree motion.
Is it the bone or the muscle? That's
man, it's the bones messed up. I got pins and screws in there, and I don't have any supination or pronation where I could turn my hand over.
Wow. Does that affect your everyday job?
Nah, man, bro. I had to learn. What do y'all say in the Marines? Adapt and overcome. Semper Gumby, right?
Improvise,
adapt and overcome. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but that's literally what I had to do, man. And I was determined not to be that guy, you know. I didn't want to be the Black Lieutenant Dan, man.
That's awesome.
You have a great spirit about you and about that story. We appreciate you sharing. So,
thank you.
Shifting gears a little bit, I gotta ask: did you know, this whole criminal justice journey that you went on and you've been on? Was that something in the back of your mind you knew you were going to pursue?
Never knew, man. Never knew. So honestly, I'll be honest. So when I was growing up, there's 2 things I wanted to do initially. Initially, I wanted to be in the NFL. The second thing was I wanted to be in the WWF. I wanted to be a pro wrestler.
Okay.
And literally neither of those 2 things happened. Thank God. My big black ass running around in tight pants, bro, with the muffin top. Now it's not gonna work for me, man.
Muffin man. That's what I would be. I'd just be a white muffin. So
yeah, but you know, so man, it's just like with a lot of people, man. When you're in the military, y'all know, man, the military becomes your whole being, it's your whole identity. Yo, that uniform is everything, and you're with the people that are like you every day in and day out. So that's all I knew was military. So it was just like, I'm 21 years old and I'm a civilian again. I'm like, what do I do? Because this wasn't my plan. My plan was to stay in the military, and make a career out of it. But I got, I had to go because I was messed up. And I started trying to figure out what I was going to do. I remember I went to college, man. I think it was initially for physical or occupational therapy, because my occupational therapist at Walter Reed was so awesome. And I was like, man, I want to help soldiers that get hurt on the battlefield get better. Man, I went in there and I was just like, this is the most boring thing ever. Oh, it was horrible, man. You cannot go from combat to a cubicle. Some people can, but it was not working for me. And I was like, man, let me try physical therapy. Same thing. And I thought about business. And one day I'm sitting at home on the couch and I see this commercial for the Louisville Metro Police Department. And now I never hated the police and had an issue with the police growing up, but it was just like, being a cop was like never a thing for me. And I just remember looking at this commercial and I'm like, man, that looks pretty damn fun. And it looks pretty much like what I was doing before, guys with the uniforms, the gun belts and the shine boots. And I started looking and going federal. And I was like, man, I started watching the show on A&E, Gangland. Used to watch Cops, man. I used to watch every. It's like, why are you sweating? Why are you sweating? I'm just watching Cops.
I was watching Cops. Yeah, touch my drum set.
Rubbing my nuts on your drum set. But and I decided, I was like, man, and I was going to go into acting. So in 2007, I was on a HBO documentary by James Gandolfini. Y'all know him as Tony Soprano.
Oh yeah.
A Live Day Memories, and he was like, hey, you ever thought about acting? I was like, no, never been a thing for me. Next thing you know, I get a call from Spike Lee. And I go to Italy in 2007 and I'm an extra on the movie Miracle of St. Anna. about the
Really?
Buffalo Soldiers in World War II. Yeah, yo. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna be an actor, man. But it was just like I had to make a choice between acting. They told me, they was like, bro, you come to New York City, we'll help you, we'll help you get anywhere in the acting business, you're a good guy. And I was like, man, my mom told me, she was like, don't move anywhere. You need to finish your college first. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna finish college, and then I'm gonna go into acting. But man, I went on a police ride along with the Louisville Metro Police Department in the 1st Division, where I was currently working at now. And man, I got hooked that first night. I was like, bro, they pay y'all to do this? Like, really? Oh man. And from then on, I made it my mission. I was like, I'm gonna become a cop. And I applied for the police department in Louisville, and I think it was like March of 2009. And man, my arm almost got me because I was taking the test, and they were like, hey, you got to put your hands behind your head and interlock your fingers for the sit-ups. And I couldn't do it. I was like, my arm don't go down. Wow. And so they were like, well, we'll let you do the test, but they're probably going to tell you no at the Department of Criminal Justice Center here in Kentucky that decide everything. And they were like, man, so I took the test and I blew the test out the water. And I got a call a couple of days later saying, all right, you're good to go, man. They're going to let you go through. And I was so happy because I was working at the VA at that time as a housekeeper. And it was a great job, man. But it just, it was a transitioning job, man. But it just like, I'd like, what does your dad do? Oh, cleans toilets for a living. Nothing wrong with it. It's a noble profession, but sure, that's just not what I wanted, man. And man, I ended up getting on the police department in November of 2009.
Damn. That's why you're just not wired like that. I think it's okay. I mean, a lot of people's like disheartening in their life and things that they don't want to do. They don't understand all it is a little bit of confidence, and then just trying to find a new path. Like what you said, you fell in love with something and you went towards it. Now, I do have to ask. I'm a criminal justice major myself. We talked a little bit about it the other night. I'm curious to know, do you find it difficult to separate your Army trauma with like the everyday duties of being an on the street police officer?
Man, no. And this is why I'll say that, because, man, when I started writing my book, it was really a good emotional release for me, And so, man, I think the best thing a lot of veterans can do that have trauma is kind of exposure therapy. A lot of guys, if you talk to guys from Vietnam, like, I don't want to talk about it. Like me, man, I talked about it. I wrote about it. Man, it's just like when I tell my story now, I don't have any issues from it, because it's like I'm telling somebody else's story because I've done it so much. It's just like, I'm telling somebody about this cool movie I watch. So I don't really have, I'm gonna say, issues with it, but I mean, I do have PTSD. Don't get me wrong, And man, I think Tino tell you, man. So I got hurt January 2nd of 2005. Man, when I published my book this past January 2nd, and man, I don't know what it was, dude, but I had this dark cloud come over me in January, And I think it's like a seasonal PTSD is what they call it around the time of the event. I was like, my life was going so well, like everything was going great. My wife is good, my kids are healthy, my book's coming out, my podcast is going on, and like work's going, and I'm just like got this black cloud over me, and like I just couldn't function, And this was also at the same time we're going through the riots and stuff in Louisville, and like I was in this dark hole where it's like nothing made me smile. And I with PTSD with me, it's like a light switch. I'm either all the way on or I'm all the way off. And for some odd reason, that light switch was on, and I could go to work and function. I can do the job, and I can put on the smile and carry out my duties, but it was just one of those things where I was like on autopilot, man. And one day I finally just kind of snapped out of it, and now I'm kind of like back to normal.
Wow. It's amazing you bring up PTSD like that. Me and Andrew have talked about this a million times, like how you'll be in the midst of like this, like you said, life is just perfection, right? Like everybody's healthy, everybody's happy. And it's like, you almost don't allow like this cloud comes over you. And like you said, it's just, you can't smile, you can't do normal things that you used to. It's amazing how that happens. Just like a light switch. It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Same type of feeling like that you were saying when you were telling your lieutenant or whoever that you didn't have, something wasn't right, something doesn't feel right. And it's almost like that cloud comes back over you once a year. And I can say for Matt and I, there's October's usually our month. A few days ago we experienced some pretty wild events, and I know days or weeks leading up to that, I'll just be like, man, what's wrong with me? I kind of feel like there's something looking at me, or I just feel that there's something crawling up my back. And kind of that feeling that you had when you were taking the piss and just got that weird feeling, and that happens randomly,
Yeah, man.
And I almost have to be like, whoa, what's going on? I put all my checks in order, and I'm like, what's wrong? And then I'm like, oh, is it October? Oh, wait, it's September. It's October.
Yeah. Do y'all have kids?
No.
See, man, and that was the thing that got me. It was like, man, like my kids had nothing to do with any of this, and all of a sudden, like I had to explain to them. My wife explained to them, Daddy's got some stuff going on. He loves y'all, and I would have to tell my kids like, yo, I love y'all. I've just got some stuff going on, and it makes me mad because it's like y'all had literally nothing to do with any of this, but it's like it's being taken out on you all, and that's not fair. Y'all should have all of my love and attention, but because of Daddy's past, like Daddy's here, but he's not there all the way, and it's and man, my daughter would just come up to me and hug me randomly, and it's the greatest feeling ever. But when you're turned off, it's just like, oh, okay, thanks, man.
And that's the continued sacrifice that you're making years later, right?
Oh yeah,
over a decision you made to serve your country. It's that long lasting effect. Not only you are still dealing with, but your family as well.
Oh yeah. Well, and the other thing is, I tell people, man, I know a lot of guys with PTSD from the military, but I was like, we got to be honest, y'all. Yeah. Some of them was crazy before we deployed.
Oh yeah.
I gotta know some guys like, I'm getting a check for PTSD. I'm like,
nah, you're just crazy.
Like I remember you before we left, and like you were biting the head off of rats in the barracks. Like, dog, like, come on, man.
Have him come down to Baltimore. He'll have a blast down here with all the Baltimore rats.
Oh no, thank you. No, they ain't gonna carry me away into the bay.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any level of feelings that you may be suppressing with your job, being so aligned with your military service? Do you think when you do any self-reflection that maybe there's anything suppressed?
Man, for me, there's nothing really suppressed, man, because I am literally an open book. Like I put everything on the front street. Like there's no hiding who Dexter Pitts is. It's in my book, The Good and the Bad. The only thing that kind of haunts me still is when I was a rookie officer, I was like fresh out of the academy, and I went through my first phase of training, and I'm working the Ironman detail. When I get a call that my mother's been shot and she's in the hospital at U of L, the University of Louisville. And I'm in my police uniform, and I'm trying to figure out who shot and killed my mother. But it turns out she had shot and killed herself. It was a suicide, and she had a incident with my father. They had been married for 28 years, and so, man, next thing you know, I'm 26 years old. I'm supposed to be a hero. I'm a cop, and I'm in the uniform, and I'm like, man, I got this. This is, this is what I do. I'm Superman. And the next thing you know, I'm in my police uniform, and I had to make the hardest decision of my life when take my mother off life support at 26 in my police uniform, man. And dude, that was the hardest thing. So now every time I go to the hospital to take somebody to the hospital, I walk in through those same doors and I see a lot of the same faces 12 years later, and it's just like, man. And I look at that room, like in the room 13 in the back, and I'm like, damn, that's where it all happened at, man. And that still sticks with me today. And it's still heavy, but I'm able to function. But it's just like, man, every time I go there, I look at that room like that's where her, and she deserves so much better, man. And I hated that happened to her, and I just remember those brown paper bags on my mom's hands, like trying to preserve evidence. And I was just like, man, I just want to rip those bags off and get to her hand and hold her hand so bad. That's been my, Iraq was bad, but man, I would take 1,000 Iraqs. I would take 1,000 IEDs before I would ever have to go through that incident again with my mother, because that's what started my real downward spiral, man. I mean, my whole family broke apart. I started going through a second divorce. Man, my sister ran away with the money, like $100,000 in life insurance, told me I didn't deserve anything. Wow. I ain't talked to my father, man. I was completely, estranged from my family, and I started spiraling out of control at work. And I got to the point where I wanted to kill myself. Yeah. And the thing that gets me is, man, we are such tough guys. Y'all are Marines. I'm a soldier, and we know so many people that are Navy SEALs, Special Forces, Force Recon. And these guys are so tough, but all of a sudden we find out, hey, that dude killed himself. Like, what? He's the toughest man I know. Yeah. Like, that's the key right there, man. Nobody's above struggle and trauma, man. And that is like the biggest issue we have with men in America. And that's why I hate the whole demasculating men thing, right. And toxic masculinity. I'm like, bro, this is why men don't open up, because we're telling men not to be men. And it is okay for men to cry and have emotions, man. And we put that stuff down inside, and all of a sudden it blows up, and then everybody's wondering, why did he kill himself?
Right.
Because you wouldn't let this man be who he actually was.
Right.
You know, you force him to live this fake life and this fake identity, man.
Yep.
And that's why we have this crisis right now in America.
Well, it starts at a young age, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, right out of the gate from school. I mean, I never connected with school. The only reason I went was because I had to, and then the only reason I went to college is because I felt that I had to. And
right.
You know, I didn't get into any cool schools. I went to a junior college, like a junior college or whatnot, and played hockey and did my thing. But I wasn't doing it for anything other than other people and the status quo of being in school.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, man, I think you could do so much more. Like, we push college, but honestly, not to get too political, but these colleges are indoctrination factories for American kids right now, and I'm just like, man, you could go out here, join the military, get a trade, go to trade school, get a trade, and not come out in like $60,000, $80,000 worth of debt for a degree in freaking women's studies with the major in underwater basket weaving or something stupid, and it's like, whatever. I can't find a job. I don't know why.
Whatever makes you happy. Do whatever.
Do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's 2022. This is like the best time for anybody to go out there and kind of chase a passion or
do anything you want.
100%.
No judgment.
Yeah.
Zero. You gotta wonder, like, where are people, like, parents are feeling in America, like, yo, where are people's parents, like, yo, this is stupid. Don't do that. Not saying that they're gonna listen. I didn't listen to my parents either. I was an idiot till I was 28. Someone still debate that. My wife would probably say I'm still an idiot, but I'm not as much of an idiot now, though.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm always gonna be a work in progress, man. I ain't never gonna officially be all the way there.
That's right. None of us are either, and that's the cool thing. So now, where are you at now? If you could share with us a little bit about your book, everyone can. There'll be a link in the description below where they can get to your website and they can get to your purchase your book. But this is your chance, brother, to kind of go through it, plug it, and give us a little backstory.
Oh, so okay, man. So what makes my book so different and unique is the fact that I am literally the only officer that is active in the country who went through the 2021 riots and has written a book that talks about what it was actually like on the front lines, because a lot of officers right now are afraid to speak up and speak out because of the current political environment and the current witch hunt on officers. And one of the things that made me do this book was initially it was a healing process for me and in my family. I want my kids to know who I am from my perspective and my story, not from the world, Joe, but also I want officers to know that, listen, we are American citizens too. How dare we be able to enforce and make sure everybody else has their constitutional rights and the First Amendment rights, but we can't use those rights ourselves because I wear a uniform or work for a certain place? I don't know. That's not how this thing works, man. That's not liberty. That's not freedom. You can control what I do when I'm on the clock for 10 to 12 hours, Joe, but you are not going to be able to tell me, hey, you can't say that. Oh, yes, I can. And everybody's like, man, how are you speaking so freely as an officer? Brother, I'm an American citizen just like anybody else, dude. I've damn near died for this country, and nobody, no police chief, no politician. Only my wife can tell me to shut up, and I'm gonna listen. So that's literally the only person, man. So, man, that's why I wrote the book. It's so important that officers share their stories, man. Because if you don't share stories, man, people are gonna tell the story for you. Yeah, people are gonna tell you a different alternative and a different perspective of what happened with 2020. But I know this is all real. When we got shot at on the night of the Breonna Taylor verdict in Louisville at Brooklyn Broadway, that was real. Yeah, I seen 2 of our officers get hit and go down. And you have these people, like you have this group Black Lives Matter that's saying, officers are evil and racist. But we had a white officer and a black officer get shot protecting these people's freedom of speech. And it's just like, man, and people are telling y'all that we're evil, horrible people, and we're racist. And I'm like, that's not what this is. No. Are there cops out there that are horrible, that are evil and racist? Of course there are. We would be a fool. Like everywhere. There's bad apples everywhere, bro. You can find bad lawyers, judges, man. Wherever you can, bad Marines. Yep. We all know these people, man. But the problem is we become so intellectually lazy in this society that it's hard for us to separate and look at people as individuals. So instead of thinking critically and being like, you know what? That's a good guy. He might work at a bad place with some bad people, but Dex is a good guy. So instead of Dex is a good guy, we like Dex is a piece of shit like everybody else because they all wear the same uniform. And my pushback to any time I meet somebody that's a Black Lives Matter supporter or black person, like, man, cops are bad, every last one of them. I'm like, how about if somebody, a white person, come up to you and says, every last one of you black folks are criminals? How would you feel? Oh, that's wrong. So why do you say that? And it's okay for you to say that, but nobody else can say that about you.
Right.
You know, and that's the thing that drives me crazy, man. So I've been very vocal, you know, and I mean, we have a lot of guys out there that are speaking up, but the problem is we have a lot of guys doing good work, like Officer Tatum. You know, he does, you know, puts out some good stuff, but the problem is he's not an active officer. He hasn't been for a long time, and that's not knocking him. He does great, man. He's doing the profession a lot of good, but I feel like it does more and it goes further when you have somebody like me who's still in the game and has skin in the game. You know, he has nothing to lose. You know, he's a civilian. I mean, I got a lot to lose, you know, and I also have everything to gain. And I just feel like it's so important that somebody still wearing the uniform, still in the profession, speaks up and says, yo, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Did you get backlash from the book, Dexter?
Man, there ain't nobody, nobody in my chain of command has said nothing about me, the book, or the podcast. And I'll be honest, I'll tell you why. How you can't tell a black man in 2022 that wrote a book to shut up and not write a book. I wish.
Now, if it was me, if I did it,
they'd be like, "Hey, bring your white ass into this office right now."
No, that's
well,
right.
Listen, Dexter. We really appreciate you, man. We appreciate you being a part of our Disarranged community. We have an open door policy here. We look forward to growing our relationship together. And most of all, again, thank you for sharing intimate details about your story.
Thank you so much.
You know, one of our goals here is to obviously connect with our viewers and try to give them some sort of inspiration each episode. And normally we try to pound that point in and try to reiterate that. But I think through your story, there's a lot to learn and a lot to pull from. And so we just truly appreciate you, man.
Well, I appreciate y'all, man. And like I said, if you could, like, the name of the book is iAmPitts, Memoirs of an American Patriot. You can get it on Amazon, or you can go to iAmPitts.com. I tell people, if you want to buy from me directly and get a signed copy, drop me an email at iAmPitts@yahoo.com. Also, if you could follow me on my Instagram page, iAmPitts1. I also now have a YouTube page on my show, and I also have a podcast, the iAmPitts podcast. Currently, that's only audio. Listen, I'm 38 years old, y'all, and I'm struggling in the IT game, trying to figure out how to do video like these guys. This is a nice, fancy setup, brother. And let me tell you, I'm trying to get there, y'all. So I have the YouTube page, the iAmPitts YouTube page. I also have the iAmPitts Memoirs of American Patriot Facebook page. So I'm on all those platforms. I also have a Linktree. Look up iAmPitts on Linktree. And so, man, that's pretty much it, man. I don't have much else other than that, gentlemen.
We'll make sure all that information's available to all our viewers and listeners so they 100%. Can get in touch with you whatever way they need to.
Yeah, man. Well, what we'll do is we'll wrap after this. So I'll shoot you an email in a couple of days. We'll get all your links, put it together, and anything we can do to help support on our end and help advertise your story and your book. 100%. Just reach out.
I'll do the same for y'all, man. Hey, y'all have a wonderful thing going here. Listen, don't read into the comments too much. I've learned. Don't read the comments too much. Man, no, dude, keep doing what y'all are doing. I love it. I love seeing veterans, you know, getting into the creator market like this. And man, like I said, we all have a story, man. Y'all have a story, dude, and y'all are giving so many other people an opportunity to share their story. So I love y'all for doing that. Like I said, even though y'all Marines, y'all cool, man. I'll rock.
All right.
All right. Hey, ladies, stay safe, Dexter.
Ladies and
gentlemen,
take it easy, man. Dexter Pitts. Dude, that was awesome. He's a great guy, man. I'm really glad that Tina introduced us to him. That was a great episode, brother.
He was definitely everything that Tina said he was going to be, man. Dexter is he's a special human being, and we're lucky to have him on the streets and you know, serving us and serving his community. And I encourage everybody out there to go get on his website, look at his books, Instagram, YouTube. If you like what you heard tonight, I'm sure there's a lot more of it. So
no, absolutely. I'm gonna share his banner right now. I think if I spelled it right. Hold on, let's see if I did it right real quick. Off the cusp. iAmPitts.
Yep.
There's 2 eyes in it. Just take an eye out, people. See, Dexter, listen, man, we're 36 and still struggling over here.
Right. He can't spell. He 36
I cannot spell.
My mom technology, but he can't spell.
Yeah, my mom spent all this technology on hooked on phonics, and that shit just blew right by me. But go get some rest, man. It's been a long week for the both of us. I appreciate you joining me again this week, my friend, and I look forward to taking a little bit of a break next week. Again, everybody, we are going to be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on November 10th, where the Marine Corps was founded, the good old Philadelphia. We'll be on 10th and Oregon at a bar called Tanky's. Come check our tent out. This will be our first public and live appearance where we'll be doing live shows, interviews. We have a contest. We'll be doing a $500 giveaway for the first of the year. So definitely stay tuned for some content coming from that. And again, next week we'll be taking a break. And then Veterans Day, we'll be at McGillen's Pub in Philadelphia, enjoying some drinks, some great food, great people, and some awesome stories from some great veterans. So
I will be.
You got any saved rounds, brother?
I'll be taking photos with fans for $10 a piece. So, and cash only. So.
Cash only. Okay. Well, I can promise you, I wouldn't be banking on that. But no, it's listen, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us.
You guys. Have a great
weekend. Appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you very, very soon. And if you could, please like, share, and subscribe our content. It helps us out. Thank you very much. Remember, everybody, a healthy network is a strong network. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.